Excuse me. Okay. Hi everyone. Thanks for clicking on my video. This is going to be a tutorial on how to make a basketball planter. Not sure if you could see behind me. There is one right there that's not a hanging planter, but I'm going to show you how to make a hanging basketball planter out of a real basketball. So, for materials, you are of course going to need a basketball. I had told myself that I wasn't going to buy any more balls, but then I was shopping and I came across this ball, and have you ever seen a silver ball? I had not. So I had to buy it, and it also gave me the opportunity to film this video and hopefully help other creatives or help other people who are interested in this activity make their own. So again, you need a ball. Doesn't matter what size, but what will matter is the pot that you use for the ball. So if you're going to do a smaller ball, make sure that you go with the smaller pot. If you're using a size 29, so this is a men's ball, or a 28.5, which is a women's ball, these 8-inch planters work really well. If you're sizing down to, say, a size 3 ball, which are kind of like those novelty balls that you might see, a 6-inch planter will work better for you, or a 6-inch pot will work better for you. So those are kind of the main things. Aside from that, we're going to use some of this chain. You can either buy a whole spool, which you probably won't need, or you can go to your hardware store and get the amount that you need cut. You're also going to need these eyelets. I just picked them up at Walmart. You can find them online. Sometimes used craft stores have like random eyelets, or you might see them called grommets as well. Because I've made a lot of these, I have a full grommet kit, or grommet, however you want to say it, I guess, which comes with a brass color. I decided to go with the silver because it's going to look really cool with the ball. But this is a kit that comes with a lot of different materials. You're also going to need binder rings. I'll show everything and how to use everything again as I go through this tutorial, but you're going to need these or something like it. D-rings, if you could figure out how to open them up and close them, are going to work as well. But the binder rings are really helpful because they have a latch that opens and closes. For tools, I'm going to use an X-acto knife. I'm going to use these wire cutters, I think, just to get through this chain. I'm going to use a hammer as well, and then I use this little piece of wood just to make sure that I'm not messing up any of my surfaces. Those are the materials. I'm going to go ahead and put them in the description, but they're pretty simple materials that you can find just by going to a hardware store. You can use a used basketball. A lot of my planters are made from recycled basketballs, so if you have one just hanging around, laying around that you don't use, it's a great way to upcycle that and bring it into your space. So first things first, let's go ahead and cut the ball. So I went ahead and positioned the ball before I started filming, but what I have set up here is another pot essentially to hold the ball in place, and then the pot that I'm going to use, I like to place it on top, and then I'm just going to move everything around to make sure that it's centered using my eyes. Sometimes I use a level, just place it on the top to make sure everything looks lined up, but I'm confident in myself to know what things look right. Depending on the ball that you have, sometimes they have like a front and a back. So the back might have a tag on it, or maybe if you use a smaller ball that's a specific team's ball, the front will have the team logo and the back will just say Wilson, or will say the logo of whatever brand made the ball. So you can adjust accordingly with the pot, with the ball. And then once I have it where I want it, I'm going to just use a pen. I like pens better than Sharpies for the most part because they don't stain as much. And I'm just going to slowly go around the ball. Again, making sure that it's centered, steady, and just using that lip of the planter as my guide and trace it. So I've traced it all the way around. Now I can get rid of this stuff for now. Get rid of that thing. And it still looks centered. I have it traced. And now you're going to want to take a deep breath because you don't want to go into this quickly. But go ahead and pull out your sharp tool, your X-acto knife. Be safe. But you're just going to go ahead, and I like to start usually not on the front. I don't want my first puncture mark in case I mess up to be at the front of the ball. I usually want it to be on the side where one of these, I don't know, grippers or lines are. It just makes it easier for me to find an entry point. My X-acto knife's kind of wonky. If you're using a ball that's blown up, which obviously you probably are, the air is immediately going to start to come out. That's cool. But all you're going to do is slowly drag your X-acto knife, again carefully, around that circle that you've just made. Once you're able to kind of stick a finger in into the ball, then it allows you to have a bit more tension and will allow you to just kind of have a little bit more control with holding the ball. And I really want to emphasize, go slow with this because these tools are sharp. Number one, you don't want to get hurt. But you also don't want to ruin the thing that you're working on. It's easy to accidentally pull too hard or to drag this not in the line that you want to, and, you know, have a problem. So again, I'm just going slow. If you do find yourself going outside of the line that you drew, just try to find your way back smoothly. It is also going to be easier to cut on these black lines because they're not as thick. So when you get to that area, again, keep going slow so that you don't accidentally mess up and actually drag it too far. And this knife is a little bit dull, so I'm kind of like sawing it through. Sweet. So that's what you're going to be left with. I'm always trying to figure out what to do with these. I probably have 50 to 100 lids, I guess, to the ball. So if anyone watches this and has an idea of what can be done with these, after you cut a hole in the ball, make sure that this fits. I really like to get the pots that have this lip because they fit perfectly and just sit perfectly right on here. Even if you make like a tiny mistake, this covers it perfectly. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that on just so that I have an idea of how the pot is going to sit, right? How the pot is going to sit in this planter. Now we're going to put holes on either side of this ball so that the chain can hang from it. If you buy one of these kits, it comes with these punching tools. Or you can also just use your X-acto knife, but be careful, obviously. Right now we're going to be using these eyelets, these Grommets. I have 4 pairs, essentially, because each one of these, you probably can't see from that far away, but just know, each one of these things has a bigger hole and a smaller hole component. And essentially what they're going to do is fit right into each other so that they secure to each other. And with the ball, they're going to go on either side of this ball, not with the pot, but just on either side of the ball and kind of like bind together so that it looks really nice. All that being said, you're going to need 4 pairs, so you're going to need 8 pieces total. These grommets also come with this tool that will help you put them together. That comes, I think, in every package that I've bought so far. And of course this punch tool if you need it. This punch tool is for I believe this is a 3/8 size punch tool, but these are only a 1/4 of an inch, I believe. So I think the tool might be a tiny bit too big, but I'm going to try it. I think it actually is going to work and going to work well. So I'm going to take that risk and do it. First thing I'm going to do is look on the ball, right? I want my 2 hooks to go in, I guess, on this side and this side so that the planter, when it faces forward, hangs with the chain above it like that. Luckily for us, basketballs have a line that runs through the middle like I want it to. So I'm just going to pick a side. I'm not great with measurement, but let's say about a half or a full finger down from that. And then I'm just going to kind of guesstimate how much to the side. It's about half a finger, half a finger. And for me, I'm just going to make a little indent. Hopefully I can see it. If you don't have one of these tools, you're going to take one of your little grommet pieces. You're pretty much going to do the same thing. You're going to eyeball where you want that. You could measure if that feels more comfortable. Essentially what I'm eyeballing is how big this is. So this is going to be the part that connects the chain to the ball, and I want it to be, if you can see this, half, and my eyeballing was correct. I've done this quite a few times. Alright, so again, if you don't have a punch tool, go ahead and take a pen and just like mark it on the inside of your tool. I'm going to start with just 1, and I will tell you why after. I've marked it. I'm going to use my tool. If you don't have a tool, you're taking your X-acto knife and you're just, again, slowly cutting in that circle. But I am going to use a hammer and use this tool. So what I'm going to do is, hopefully you can see the table, use this as a hole punch. I'm using my hammer as my force. I don't have my hammer on me. I'm going to go grab it. But essentially a hammer is going to come down and it's going to serve as a giant hole punch to get through this ball. So let me go grab my hammer and then I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so I've moved positions because this corner of my counter is where I typically do this, and I couldn't really do it on my table because it's not sturdy enough. So you want a sturdy surface. You either want to do this on like some type of concrete, or I use a piece of scrap wood that I just found in the garage. But I'm going to put my wood underneath where I'm going to be making the hole again because I don't want to ruin any of my stuff. And I'm going to use my punch tool, and I'm going to take my hammer and I'm going to cut this loud noise, hopefully. But you're just going to whack away. This ball is pretty thick, so it's going to take a little bit of time to get through it. When you do this, be careful with your thumbs. I know it's very Homer Simpson, but even people who try to be careful, like me, whack their thumbs. And honestly, I'll revise that. I don't think I try to be careful. I try to be careful enough, but I'm doing this on a kitchen counter with a piece of old wood. How careful could you be? Alright, so first hole has been made. And while I have you here, let's go ahead and put that first grommet in. So I will grab everything I need for that. The things that you're going to need to recap are 2 pieces of your grommets or your eyelets, the tool that it comes with, and the base that it comes with. This part can be a little tricky to just get used to because it kind of takes maneuvering your ball in a different way. So with this, the piece that is skinnier and longer is going to go on the front, so it's going on the outside of the ball. And the piece that is a little bit wider and thicker is going to be going on the inside. And they should fit together really well. You might have to do a little bit more cutting around. After I have those pieces kind of in where I want them, they might fall out, so just like be careful. Be placing that base tool, so that little bottom piece. The skinny, smaller round one, your ball is going to go in between those 2 things. Again, see, anytime you're using this ball, it's just like, it can move, it can wobble. So, base tool, first piece of the grommet on the bottom, your ball, second piece on the top. Then this other tool is going to come into play, and it's going to fit right in between that hole. And this is where it gets tricky, because sometimes you can have a ball that's big enough to hammer inside of it, but sometimes you'll have to like bend the ball down to get it out of your. Be careful of your fingers, of your thumbs. And that's what you're going to get. So I wanted to use silver because I thought the silver would, of course, blend in really well. But essentially what's happening when you're using this tool is as you hammer down, one of the pieces flares, so it latches onto the other one and is pretty secure. So now I have one. I'm going to take one of my binder rings or one of my O-rings. If you have a D-ring, you can figure it out. But I like these again because they open. And I haven't been measuring things, so all I'm going to do is stick it in and I'm gonna clamp it together like it would. And then I'm just going to grab my pen. I'm trying to do all of this very quickly because I have somewhere to be. But anyway, I'm gonna hold this, grab my pen, this is where it's marked, and I'm just gonna draw like a little circle to tell me where I need to put the next hole, basically. Once I'm finished with this, same process, and then I'll go ahead and move on to the other side. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'll come back when it's ready for the next step. So I have that, and the things that you are going to need next are your binder rings. You want ones that fit pretty snug into each other so they don't come apart easily if you pull them. This one is going to work out well for me. Over here I have my whole kit. This one seems pretty secure as well. Then I'm going to take my chain, trying to find the last piece I cut. Here we go. All right, so what I like to do is, there we go, open one of the rings that you're going to be using and just slide it into how you're going to be using it. Make sure that it fits well. And then go ahead and pop one of your chain pieces, so the end of your chain, into that. And then I just kind of like to eyeball it, which is something I do with a lot of things. This looks like it's about, I want to say 1.5 feet, maybe a little bit more than a foot. Going up one side, it hits the top, and then it's going to come down to be even. So that would look nice hanging. So I'll go ahead and take my cutters and just snip through that plastic chain. I've used metal chain for other balls. It kind of just depends on your preference. I like the way that the plastic looks. And the white or black matches really well with everything. Alright, so I have this in. Then I'm just going to make sure that there aren't any, I guess, like twists or tangles in my knot or in my chain. So just run your fingers around it. And I'm going to find that end piece. Same thing, pop open this ring from the inside of the ball to the outside of the ball. Loop it in the holes. And then put that chain through. And that kind of brings you to the end. This looks awesome. Not just saying that because I made it, but you got to give yourself credit where credit is due. But this is what you're going to end up with. I'm going to go back and I'm going to take a little bit of glue. Hot glue or super glue is going to work better. And I'm going to reopen these things, these rings. And I'm just going to put a little bit of dab of glue, and then the chain is in there, and I'm going to shut it just to give myself some peace of mind. These are pretty secure, but of course, depending on where you buy from, or sometimes there's like wonky ones in the set that you buy. They couldn't fall apart. So I put a little bit of glue on that side, and then where this hinge is on the other side, I'll put a little dab of glue and kind of just like pinch it together. It mostly gives me peace of mind, so that's something I would recommend doing. Or if you have some other type of sticky thing that just like goes around that chain. I'll go ahead and do that off camera because this is the end. This is what you get at the end of doing this craft. It doesn't take too long. Materials aren't too expensive if you're just buying kind of single-use things, and especially if you use a recycled ball. So that's the video. I hope that this works for you. I'm so excited for whoever gets this. I hope somebody buys it, like I said. It kind of looks like a disco ball, so it's kind of like a disco ball basketball, but it also has, you know, the classic Wilson logo, the NBA logo as well, and I think it'll look really cool in someone's space. So thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions, any comments, feel free to leave them. Again, I make this video because I think if you want to learn how to make something, you should be able to learn how to make something. And I hope this was comprehensive enough so that if you want to try it, you will be successful when you try it. So thank you for watching, and, you know, enjoy your planter. I just wanted to hop on one more time to show how I style my planters, or how they look once they're put up in a home. This is kind of the place where I model all of them that I have. I do have another one in this corner as well that I'm looking to sell. So I got this from a local high school. It's not zooming, that's okay. Well, hopefully you can see it. The one that I just showed, I used chain, metal chain instead of plastic chain. And then I've also made some with like paracord or yarn. This one typically goes there with that plant, but I just kind of picked up this, as I usually do, pick up this, I don't know, I guess it's, what is this braiding called? Somebody will know if you're into that. And just started to braid it and thought it turned out really cool. It's a light purple, which really matches my color scheme, but it typically does go here. I know it's really dark right now. But thanks for watching my video again. I hope that this helps you add a bit of your personality into your decor, or gives you inspiration for someone else who, you know, is really interested in basketball, who's interested in another sport. You can also do this with a soccer ball, and it works really well, but to just kind of liven up the space. So that's all I have to say for real. Thanks for watching. Bye!